Welcome back, everybody. Today we're taking a deep dive into excerpts from something a little different. It's the Arabic translation of Managing Fear by James Gardner. Fear. We've all felt it, right?
Oh, yeah.
But do we understand it?
You know, it's funny you should say that. We tend to think of fear as this, completely negative thing, something to be avoided at all costs.
I know exactly what you mean. Like, oh, no, stay away.
Right. But Gardner kind of flips that on its head. He really emphasizes just how powerful an emotion it is.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just a fleeting feeling, you know?
Yeah.
Fear can really have a strong influence over our thoughts, even our actions, sometimes in ways we don't even realize.
Like a primal instinct, almost.
It is. It's a primal force. Think about how we react to danger, like the most basic instinctive responses. Fight, flight, freeze.
Right.
Those are all driven by fear.
So that feeling of your heart pounding when you have to give a presentation. Or wanting to just avoid a situation that makes you feel uncomfortable.
Exactly.
That's fear.
That's fear at work. All those physical reactions, heart racing, rapid breathing, muscles tense up. It's all part of our body's ancient survival mechanism.
Yeah.
Kicking in to help us face danger or get away from it.
Okay, but we aren't exactly living in a world with saber-toothed tigers anymore, are we?
Right.
So sometimes, even though these fear responses are completely natural, they don't actually help.
Yeah.
They can even make things worse.
Absolutely. I mean, in modern life especially.
Yeah.
So what we're going to try to do today is help you understand fear a bit better, not just how to conquer it, but how to actually manage it. Because Gardner's point is, you don't need to eliminate fear completely. It's more about learning to work with it.
Okay, so how do we do that? How do we start to manage fear?
Well, first, Gardner kind of breaks it down into different types of fear. He argues that not all fears are created equal, like the fear of public speaking, is fundamentally different from, say, a fear of spiders.
Right.
Even though they might both cause those same physical reactions.
So it's more about where they come from.
Exactly. They come from different places. And understanding the root of your fears, where they come from, that's a crucial part of figuring out how to manage them effectively. Think about a fear you've been grappling with lately. Can you pinpoint what specifically triggers that fear for you?
That's a great question for everyone listening to think about. If you can understand what's at the core of your fear, you're already on the right path to taking back control.
And once you've kind of got a handle on what's causing those feels, Gardner gives us a whole bunch of practical ways to manage them.
Oh, cool.
One of the most effective ones, I think, is the idea of challenging your negative thoughts.
Oh, you mean those little voices in your head?
Yeah.
The ones that are you're going to mess this up or something terrible's going to happen.
Exactly. We all have them.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And they can be so convincing, even when they don't make any sense.
Yeah.
Gardner's point is, a lot of these negative thoughts come from distorted perceptions or beliefs we've held onto for so long that just aren't really true.
So our fears are basically feeding off these negative stories we're telling ourselves.
That's it. And the key is to challenge those stories. Question them. Are they really true?
Okay.
It's a big step in breaking free from their hold over you.
That makes sense.
Gardner suggests replacing those negative thoughts with positive affirmations. Basically consciously choosing to focus on beliefs that are more empowering.
Okay, so instead of thinking, I can't do this, it's more like, I can handle this.
You got it. But it's not just a mental thing, you know? Fear affects our bodies too.
Oh, yeah.
So even if we know logically that there's no reason to be scared, our bodies might still react like we're in actual danger.
Even if you know public speaking is fine logically, your heart could still be racing when you get up there.
Exactly. And that's where relaxation techniques come in. Gardner talks a lot about things like deep breathing and meditation. They can help to calm your nervous system and those physical feelings of fear.
Just like a two-step process. You work on the mental side by changing how you think, and then you calm down your body's stress response.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, there's another technique he talks about. It can be really effective, but it might seem a little scary at first.
Okay, I'm listening.
It's called gradual exposure.
Gradual exposure.
What it means is you gradually and safely confront the thing you're afraid of.
Okay.
Little by little.
Give me an example.
Sure. Let's say you're afraid of heights.
Okay.
Instead of climbing Mount Everest right away,
Yeah, good point.
you might start with something smaller, like standing on a step stool, then maybe a ladder, then a low balcony.
So you're slowly getting used to the feeling of being higher up.
Exactly. Over time, this helps reduce the anxiety you feel.
I see.
It's kind of like dipping your toes in a cold pool instead of jumping right in.
Okay, that makes sense.
Now, here's something really interesting. Gardner doesn't just talk about getting over fear. He actually says that fear can be a good motivator, too.
Really? I always thought of it as a bad thing.
It's a common thought. But Gardner says in the right situation, fear can actually be a positive force.
Okay, how so?
Well, think about it. Fear often motivates us to take action, to push ourselves beyond what we're comfortable with. Like that nervousness before a big presentation, it might actually help you focus and do a better job.
Wow.
So that fear of failure can actually push us to prepare more, to put in more effort, to try to be the best we can be.
That's a completely different way of looking at fear. It's not about getting rid of it. It's about using it to your advantage.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that in the right context. Fear can actually give you energy and inspiration.
I like that.
It can push you to grow and achieve things you might not have thought possible.
I wonder if our listeners can think of a time when fear helped them. Maybe a time when they did something they wouldn't have otherwise done.
I bet they can. It's often when we face our fears head on that we discover just how strong and capable we really are.
Yeah, it really is amazing how we tend to think of fear as only negative when it can be such a powerful motivator, like you were saying.
It is, and I think that's a big part of what managing fear is all about. It's not about trying to be totally fearless. It's about being fearless even when you feel afraid. You don't have to get rid of fear entirely because, like we've been saying, it can actually be a really valuable thing.
Right. So as we're wrapping up our deep dive into managing fear today, what are some of the key things you'd want our listeners to remember?
I'd say the most important thing to remember is that fear is just a normal part of being human. We all experience it, but it doesn't have to control us.
Yeah.
When we learn to manage it, to really understand it, it can unlock a whole new level of freedom for us.
That's a great way to put it. It's like we're taking back control and turning fear from an enemy into something that can help us.
Exactly. And I think moving forward, it's worth asking ourselves, what are we afraid of right now? And how can we think about those fears differently? Not as obstacles, but as chances to grow and change.
Those are really great questions for all of us to think about. I feel like we've learned so much today about how to manage fear and actually use it to our advantage.
I hope so. And maybe some of our listeners will even find that a little bit of fear can be the thing that helps them achieve incredible things.
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive today. We hope you found these insights from managing fear helpful. And for our listeners, be sure to subscribe to the channel for more deep dives into all sorts of fascinating topics. Until next time.